Ah, yes, boys and girls, welcome to Tarkov, home of pain and additional pain and anguish and pain. Pain Simulator, as it's lovingly referred to, the game that lets you learn the fastest via doing things the worst, meaning that the way that you learn the most in this game is through dying. Sounds like a lot of fun, isn't it? Yeah, Russians make some hardcore games, dude. Throughout the course of this video, the idea here is to help you guys become more acclimated to how Tarkov works in the best way possible by showing you that pain is a learning tool. Now, in all seriousness, this guide is designed for newer players. So if you are somebody that is more of a veteran, but you really want to support the channel, stick around, maybe sub the channel, hang out. That would be really, really cool. Otherwise, if you're somebody that is not new and you think that maybe you won't garner anything from it, this video probably isn't for you. I would say, though, that if you are somebody that believes there is something still to learn from this, or it could be a good refresher for you, hey, maybe stick around, you know? For those of you still here, my name is Onepeg. I am a full-time content creator. I've got about 10,000 hours in Escape from Tarkov, and I have made an awful lot of guide content over the years, some of which has gotten an awful lot of views, which has been pretty sweet. One of the things that I think that I can have as my claim to fame is that I'm really good at making newbie guides because I still play like one. I possess the knowledge of somebody that understands what high-level play looks and feels like, but I don't possess the ability to provide it to you myself, and those that can't do, teach. So that's why we're here. Anyway, there is a twist to this video that I'm going to provide you guys, and I'm going to give you the information to what that twist is at the end, so maybe stick around and you'll see what it's all about. A little over 60 years ago at this point, the legendary coach Vince Lombardi walked into a summer training camp for the Green Bay Packers back in 1961, stood there and said, "Gentlemen, this is a football." The idea behind that simple statement was that the fundamentals are everything. Without fundamentals, you can't build the foundation upon which your house is erect. So for the purpose of this video, that's really what we're going to get down to. We're going to talk about basics. Just rehash the easiest, most simplified, straightforward stuff that we can possibly come up with in hopes that you guys, as players, potentially get refreshed by them. Or if you're brand new to this game, you have a little bit better of a strong understanding of the basics of this game in order to be able to build that foundation upon. Okay? All right. These are my 5 best tips for learning the fundamentals of this game. First, familiarize yourself with the game's controls and user interface. This will make it easier to navigate the game and understand what's happening on your screen. Very simple things like click and drag seems relatively straightforward. Things like hotkeying items, where you can only hotkey them if they are in your chest rig or if they are on your belt. Being able to control click items in and out of your inventory. By holding control, it will go into your backpack. If you hold down alt and left click, it will go onto your body. So if, again, control left click puts an item in your backpack, alt left click will put that item on an empty slot on your person. Control clicking money will automatically place that inside of your secure container, but won't automatically go inside of a container that's located inside of that secure container. So you will have to drag and place that there yourself. Things like keys, meds, especially meds in the early game, fresh wipe Tarkov, should always be located in your gamma container for the simple reason that that is a very finite and very relatively rare resource at the beginning of the gameplay cycle. And if you don't have them, you will end up a creek without your ability to heal yourself. So it's important to keep meds inside of your gamma container, alpha container, whatever it is that you bring with you, so that you can staunch bleeding, repair broken limbs, all of those things, heal yourself up to be able to continue on. Additionally, you want to acclimate yourself again to the user interface. Pay attention to your weight. Yellow weight means that you move more slowly. Red weight means that you're not going to be able to move very well, if at all, and you're going to lose stamina every time you take a step. You want to pay attention to the stamina bar, which is located in this lower left-hand corner. The upper bar, the upper green bar is for your arms. The lower green bar is for your legs. These little white hash marks toward the bottom of the screen are your walk speed. So these items here, this is the slowest possible movement speed, and then you can ramp this up with the mouse wheel to the fastest possible. If you want to switch between moving as fast as possible and as slow as possible, you hit caps lock and you can see the little caret move from end to end. If you want to crouch, that is the C key by default. That goes to full crouch. If you want to incrementally crouch or stand up, you hold C and scroll the mouse wheel, and that will bring you up and down in position in incremental amounts. Q and E are for leaning. If you want to be able to hold a lean and move in a more incremental, slower lean, you want to use your strafe keys, A and D, and hold Alt to do that AD strafing. There are also other hotkeys and things that I would encourage that you guys get acclimated to throughout the course of playing the game. You can find all of that in the settings screen under the controls and keybinds. Be forewarned, this will look very overwhelming initially. They are things that you want to start trying to get down, and I have other videos that go into what it's like when you modify those hotkeys and other like time-saving tips or best practices that you can get into to remap some of these hotkeys to things that are more intuitive and will save you time and give you a better competitive edge. If you click the banner that shows up at the top of the screen right here in the upper right-hand corner, it will take you to that video if that's something that you want to see. Second, take the time to learn about the game's core mechanics, such as looting, trading, and combat. These are essential to your success in Tarkov, so it's important to understand them early on. If you're going to loot something, any interaction is by default done with the F key. You can either search an item like this. If it's something that you hadn't seen before, it will take a minute to search, or you can take it. In order to be able to take it, you either need to have bag inventory space available to be able to absorb whatever size of that item it is, or you have to have an empty slot somewhere on your person to be able to put that item on. When it comes to trading at level 1, you will only have access to level 1 traders. These level up as you improve your reputation with them and improve the money that you've spent through them and do missions for them. It'll eventually unlock a lot more items for you to be able to choose, buy, and barter with. Most all of this is done with rubles. That is the currency of choice for the, I guess, mainstay of the game. 90% of the game is all done through ruble transactions, but there are barters. For instance, these ES lamps for a grenade, or this grenade, which is a different single ES lamp versus 2 ES lamps, or this RGO hand grenade, which is 3 paid bug sprays, and the list goes on and on. Each trader has different wants or needs, and they also have different specialties. Becoming acclimated to what the traders sell you as well as what they will buy is something that will set you apart from all of the other new players that play this game. Rule of thumb: if you are selling items to traders for money, the first place that you want to check is Therapist and or Jaeger once you have Jaeger unlocked. They pay about the same amount of money for the same items. The best possible way currently to raise rep with Therapist and Jaeger, if you need to, is to sell them condensed milk. You can purchase it off of the market once you get level 15 and you can access the flea market. You'll be able to sell condensed milk to Therapist and Jaeger for roughly approximately what you would be buying for it on the flea market. It's about 15,000 on the flea market in the early game and sells to Therapist and Jaeger for about 15,000, which is the best bang for your buck you're probably going to get from selling them anything. Once you've exhausted everything that Therapist and Jaeger will buy, you want to look at Mechanic and Ragman. Mechanic is built around weapons and weapon parts. So any weapons parts, suppressors, compensators, foregrips, hand grips, pistol grips, stocks, guns, you name it. As long as they are above 50% durability, the gun will sell to Mechanic and he will pay the most for them versus selling it to any of the other vendors. From there, you want to look at Ragman. Ragman is all about wearables: glasses, helmets, vests, backpacks, all of the cloth-related goods, all of the armor, anything that can be worn, balaclavas, all of that stuff you would sell to Ragman. The remaining traders are a bit more varied. Peacekeeper, while he technically will pay more for info items than what Fence will buy them for, he buys them in US dollars. He deals in USD only. He doesn't deal in rubles. In fact, the only way to get USD, aside from looting it on a raid map, is to buy them from him at the cost of 113 rubles per US dollar. And obviously, this is set to fluctuate based on whatever market forecasting stuff is going on internally inside of the game. This will vary by a few rubles here and there. Skier, while he technically deals in rubles, offers the worst prices for just about everything. He does have some items that you will want to be able to buy from him later on in the game, like the DVL, for instance, which is my personal favorite sniper next to the AXMC, and he is also the source for euros. In order to be able to buy euros from him, you have to get level 2, and then it's 122 rubles, give or take, per euro. Finally, we have Fence, Prapper, and Jaeger one more time. Jaeger will pay the best possible prices for melee weapons. If you end up looting a melee weapon, like an antique axe, for instance, and you don't have a place to put it, you're not going to use it yourself, and you want to sell it to Jaeger, he pays the most. Grenades will only be bought currently, other than by Fence, by Prapper. Prapper will pay the best for grenades. He typically doesn't pay the best for anything else. Fence is kind of like the anonymous brotherhood of Tarkov. Fence kind of runs the scav organization. For the most part, ends up having complete junk, but Fence will buy anything. So if you have a weapon that is less than 50% durability. It won't sell to Mechanic, for instance. He doesn't want something that's scuffed, or if you have a piece of armor that Ragman won't buy because it's below 50% durability, you can sell it to Fence. Also, information items, if you'd rather have rubles instead of US dollars, you can sell them to Fence as well. Fence also has a reputation system built in, but that is based on how good of a scav you are and whether or not you end up taking different extracts, cars, and there are also duo extracts that you can learn about another point in time that you can take with a scav if you're a PMC, or a PMC if you're a scav, that will give you some additional rep. If you get above 6 points of rep with Fence, he gives you an additional tab that you can get additional gear out of that is a little bit better in quality. But the most important aspect of getting high rep with Fence is the discounts. The cost of doing business with him is buffed. So when you buy items from him, they are less expensive, and when you sell items to him, they are paid a little bit better. At max rep, Fence pays better for items, info items, than what Peacekeeper will. So it might behoove you to work on getting your Fence rep up over time so that you can take advantage of that. Third, always make sure that you have a plan before you go into raid. This means deciding what your goals are, what gear you're going to need, and how you're going to approach different situations. This comes with map knowledge. When it comes to the maps, they're all different in layout. Woods is something that is the woods. It's got a bit of verticality, there's steep cliffs, there's a lot of blind areas, and a lot of long sight lines. Bringing a shotgun to woods, unless the mission that you're on calls for it, and some of them do, is probably not a good idea. You want something that is designed for longer ranges. Mid to long engagements will more than likely be the scenario that you're going to be in if you go to a place like woods, versus a place like Factory that is all close quarters. Long-range engagements in Factory are probably a bad idea to be equipped for. You want to make sure that you have high fire rate, close quarters weaponry that will assist you in those times of need. Also, it's important to note what tasks you have available. For instance, if I have a task that says, I want you to find people at the health resort, the pier, and the cottages, that takes you to Shoreline. If I'm going to go to Shoreline, I want to make sure that I'm not only equipped to be able to do this mission, but also any other complementary missions that might also be in the same place. If you want to make sure that you are well equipped for that, you can go to your tasks menu located in your character pane, and you can sort these by location. So take you down here to Shoreline, where you can then review what missions you have in this location and see if you can double, triple, quadruple up on trying to accomplish all of them at once. For instance, this one that says mark medical containers with an MS-2000 marker. I need to make sure that I have those on me. If you notice in my special slots here, I don't have any markers. So what I would want to do is go to Prapper and look for that MS-2000 marker and make sure that I have 3 of them with me so that I can mark those places adequately. The other thing that you want to make sure that you have is enough food and drink to last you the duration of a raid. Especially in the early game, your metabolism isn't great. You end up bleeding off food and drink super fast. So you want to make sure that you have at least something to snack on and something to drink midway through the raid so that you don't end up running out of energy or dehydrate, which will cause ticking damage and eventually you would die from it. At the very least, make sure that you have your meds on you again in your secure container so that way if you die, you don't lose them. They are a very highly sought out commodity in the early game. Make sure that you retain those things for yourself. Fourth, if you are playing in a group, make sure to communicate with your team and coordinate your actions. This will increase your chances of success and make the game more fun. I can't tell you how many times I have been witness to people utilizing very poor comms. Become very accustomed to landmarks when you are playing, and there's no such thing as over-calming when it comes to Tarkov. Always talk to each other. If somebody hears something on your squad and says that they need to be able to hear, they're going to say something like comms, comms, comms. Everybody shut up so that somebody can hear what they're trying to hear. The rest of the time, you should be constantly coordinating where it is that you are. Are you by the red container? Are you by the shack? I'm over by the shack, by the white truck. Whatever, however descriptive you can possibly be. If you die, try to recount how it was that you died, where you died, the angle at which you died so that your team has the best possible chance to be able to counteract that after you go down. At this point, I can pretty adequately describe just about anywhere I am on any map at any given point, but I have 10,000 hours of experience. For you guys, it's not going to be quite so easy. What I would say is try to come up with an accurate, short description of where it was that you died. Was there power lines nearby? Did you die underneath a power pole? Was there a trailer by you? Was it a double stack trailer? Were there stairs? Those things are all items that matter. The more accurately descriptive in as short amount of time as possible that you can possibly be for your teammates, that will allow them to be able to counteract whatever it was that got you at the time. Fifth Fifth, don't be afraid to experiment and try new things. Tarkov is a complex game, and the only way to truly learn it is by getting out there and playing. So go out there and have fun if you can. I would add to this and say, don't quit. The way that you learn Tarkov, as frustrating as it is to just get out there and die a lot. And I mean a lot. It doesn't matter who the player is. They could be the absolute best player, whoever it is that you, the viewer, regard as the best possible player there is in the Tarkov community currently. That player had an entire season where they got their butt kicked and they died more than they survived. It's just part of how the game is played. You go through an entire wipe. By the end of it, you probably have a good handhold. And usually by the second time you get around, the second 6 months, that's when you start shining. The more hours that you can put into the pain, suffering, anguish, and loss now, the better you will be on the other side. The other thing that I would say is, depending on what you're comfortable with doing, if you're somebody that prefers to play slower and you want to be more tactical and kind of sneak your way around the quote-unquote ratty play style, if that's what makes you happy, then that's what you should do. However, if you're somebody that really wants to be a more fast-paced player, you enjoy watching faster-paced gameplay, and that's the type of person that you want to be, I would say try not to play counterintuitive to the place that you're trying to get to. Meaning, if you're the type of person that wants to be the W key Chad, you have to play like a W key Chad and get your butt kicked a lot in order to be able to become more proficient as a W key Chad. If you play ratty and try to become a W key player, the two things don't jive. You won't end up making out that way. To put it a different way, if you're the type of player that wants to be known for shooting three-pointers in basketball, you don't only want to be taking layups when you practice. You have to take a lot of jump shots. The final pieces of information that I would give you for driving this home as best I can is to also utilize your scav run and run offline. If you get frustrated and you need to try and retrain yourself, or you feel like you're getting a little bit behind and you just need a little bit of practice, run offline mode. The number of times that I watched a really proficient player like Willers, when he was really getting into his groove, try and make sure that he got his aim trained up so that he could play as effectively as he needed to, or he believed he needed to, he would go into factory for the first 10 minutes before every raid, 5 minutes before every raid, in offline mode, and just shoot across, up, down, left, right, to try and make sure that he was remaining as accurate as he could, and then he would go into a raid. He was always practicing, always trying to re-hone his abilities. The same can be said for a scav run. Scav runs give you a free run. You have the ability to walk through a map and get a good feel of how everything works, but still have the element of other players and AI around so that you can get used to what the footsteps sound like, what players' movement looks, feels, and sounds like. It's a free ticket that doesn't end up costing you a full loadout for your PMC in order to be able to get that experience. And should you survive, it's a really, really good way to make some free cash. In conclusion, Tarkov can be a challenging game for new players, but with a little practice and a lot of perseverance, you can become a really skilled survivor. Follow the tips outlined above, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it from the community. We're all here to help after all. Good luck and happy raiding. My name again is Onepeg. Please give me a follow on my socials if you would be so kind, at OnePegMG on Twitter, at Onepeg on TikTok, where I stream every day, twitch.tv/Onepeg simultaneously, and as well as subbing the channel here would be a huge help. Thank you so much for all of your time. Thank you for lending me your eyeballs, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, for those of you that stuck around, here's the twist. This entire script, the entire script, was written by AI. I put in a prompt that said, write a guide designed for new players of Escape from Tarkov. Give me 5 things. And it gave me 5 bullets. And then I asked it to write a closing for this. And you can't really see it, but it says, in conclusion, Tarkov can be challenging for new players. Now, there were some examples that I added in on top of these bullet points. But if you listen to the first couple of sentences of each one of these bullets, it was all written by AI. Not bad, right? It's coming a long way, boys. There's your twist. We'll see you in the next one.